Hello and welcome to the ROKER RAPPORT Extra podcast. I am Connor Bromley and I am filling in for Graham because I have a good friend of mine from university all those years back, Alex Jones, the Dale man, Rochdale. How's things? Nice to meet you. We've known each other for years.
Nice to hear you, Fizz.
How's things, Alex?
I'm good. Just everything's feeling good these days, man. You're on a roll. Technically, we've won 2 games in a bout, so I'm going to take that as a roll.
It's a bigger roll than us. We've not won in 3.
Well, to be fair, mate, I think you've just been unlucky, to be honest. Like, you're very good defensively. It's just as soon as you hit your groove in this division and start... Oh, to be fair, not even scoring goals is your problem. It's just, freak results, to be honest. You probably would have beaten Oxford if you'd kept up to 11 men. I'd presume. But I base it all off of football on, what's it called, quests these days.
Oh, yeah. So all of a bit of quest.
Everything that I base about Sunderland today is from the Quest or the BBC. So if anything isn't factual or seems slightly biased, blame them and not me. But you've looked all right from what I watched the Charlton game at the beginning of the season. You've looked very good.
Well, poor first half grew into the game.
Yeah.
But we are not here to talk. Oh, the dog's back barking in the background. We are not here today to talk about Sunderland. We are here to talk about Rochdale. So I want to take you back to about 6 years ago, and you telling me about beating Southampton away in League One, and that being like a crowning moment of your sort of Rochdale supporting life. How big is this game that you've got at the weekend in comparison to that one all them years ago?
It's nice. I like that. Well, for me, I think since Sunderland have been in League One, Sunderland will be the biggest team we've played at this level, comfortably. So I'm looking forward to going up to the city. It's a nice city, going to a stadium of like nearly 50,000 seats. And I imagine Rochdale, for Rochdale standards, bring quite a decent following, about, hopefully, I like to see it top 1,000, maybe 1,500 up there. And
about half your home crowd?
Just test ourselves against the best, really. Well, yeah, to be fair, like in the last year or so, we've done okay in getting more consistent home followings, reduced ticket prices. I think it was like £150 for a season ticket this year, which for League One, especially for like 23 games, is fantastic.
It's a very good value. I think I paid $3.10, which I thought was a good value.
Yeah. But for you get more. Like I stand up. I stand in the sandy lane, so it sounds great, but when it gets to November, December time, it's -2 outside, and the kiosk and hot chocolate shut at half time, mate, I do struggle. But yeah, I'd probably say it's the biggest game we've had since we've returned to League One, without a doubt. Whether we get as good a result, I'm not so sure.
Do you think it's the biggest sort of league game? Obviously you'll play cup games, but in terms of league games, Rochdale has spent pretty much all their existence in the 4th tier, but they have been up to the 3rd tier. Yeah. Do you think this must be probably one of the biggest ever league crowds you've played in front of? I don't know I don't have the stats behind that, but I can't think of.
In my time, the Sheffield teams away, they always got around 20,000, but this year us've been getting average 30,000.
Yeah, pretty much. We've got over 32 for
Charlton.
No, Charlton was just over 30. I had just under 30 for Scunthorpe. I had 32 for Oxford, and then we've dropped to like 30 again for the Fleetwood game. So it's roughly 30 this weekend.
It'll be good for the players, like the occasion. Like for League One players and League Two players, which the majority of our squad is built from, they're not going to play in front of crowds like this. So I do hope that low down, the players look at it as a challenge to embark on rather than to be like petrified. Because when we go to the Sheffield teams in the past, I don't think we've won at a Sheffield ground. I think Southampton, to be honest, is the last. We beat Charlton away last year, but Southampton, for me, is the last true away scalping that we've had.
Who was it that scored that day, that bald centre mid who went to Bradford?
I think he called Gary Jones, mate.
Gary Jones. I
was so happy for the guy. Like, he walked out in Wembley in the League Cup final the year after. And I was just like, you could have done that at Rochdale, mate. Do you know what I mean? But,
well, you did. Didn't you get the League Cup final, didn't you?
Yeah, because I remember, again, I probably mentioned it in my undergrad or freshers year. 1963, Rochdale got to League Cup final against Norwich, 2 legs. Thought it were coming home, mate.
Before you were born. 31 years before you were born.
I think we literally got beat like 3-0 at their place. I think we lost at our place as well, to be fair. So it was the most comprehensive final victory probably known. But it's a bit of history. We've got some history.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all in all, mate, I'm just looking forward to going up to Sunderland and just seeing how we do. I mean, to be honest, at the moment, I'd be delighted with a draw. I'd love to keep up that drawing streak up there you've got.
Yeah, that'll be my third straight home draw.
Build on Oxford's legacy. Let's see what we can do. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it.
In terms of a danger man, the obvious one, Ian Henderson scored a hat-trick this weekend. Well, this past weekend. So obviously he's going to be a concern for Sunderland. But what sort of qualities does he bring?
He's been this season. It's been funny with Hendo because normally, I mean, for me, he should be played up top because he is, for League One standards, clinical. I think on Saturday he's now up to 95 goals altogether for Rochdale, so he's not that far off Reg Jenkins' record, which I think off the top of my head is about 127 goals. And if Ian's on 95, you'd think by the end of his contract in 2020, I think it is, then we could see it broken. He's very technical, Ian, to be honest. He's got a great physique for a 33-year-old. He loves his Herbalife products. He keeps in great shape from that and the endorsements. But very technically gifted. If you want to know a bit about Ian, he's got fantastic goals on YouTube. If you want to see his best bits, he scored one against Leeds in 2014 where it was like a volley, cushioned it into the top corner to send Leeds out. And that's when I truly started to appreciate Henderson's value to the team, because in that season where we went up in 2013-14, although it was a fantastic element of the side, Scott Hogan probably took the main plaudits.
Yeah.
Because he scored 20 goals that season, whilst Ian, I think he only scored about 13 in the league that year. And he's more of a wide man, but he's become more centralised now. Also, Saturday's his first hat-trick in his career. So I'm hoping it's like a bus. You wait that long for a hat-trick and then two come along at once.
No, you think Ian Henderson's going to bag a hat-trick this weekend? That's your hot take.
Yeah, it'll probably be 5-3 to Sunderland, but at least if Ian gets 3, it'd be good for League One fantasy. He's good at meandering through, like he can switch between midfield and attack seemingly. He has good partnerships in the team. He's got a very good part. I think he likes to work off a tall target man next to him, because on Saturday when we played Gillingham and we won, it helped him a lot that he was feeding off like Calvin Andrew. For the first goal, Calvin prods it through and he feeds onto that and scores. Also, on the third goal, we've also recently signed Aaron Wilbraham. Do you remember that? Legend
Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace, Bristol City. Whether you say he's probably been there at some point. So he also assisted the third goal by dropping off at the back post and then feeding the ball back to Ian Henderson, where he became immortal with like some sort of spinning flying leg kick to the ball and it flew in, and it's probably the best goal at Scotland. But yeah, I think he does rely on like a target man, maybe to do like bringing down work, and he's very fast, runs off the back of a defence, so you'll need pace at the back as well as a target man to probably neutralise that threat.
So how do you set up overall? I mean, we've came up against a lot of teams at Sunderland who sort of get in my faces straight away, very aggressive, very tenacious. Are Rochdale that kind of team? I mean, how do you set up formation-wise, and how does what is a Keith Hill team like?
Well, I think away from home, I think our style of play is more suited to being away from home because it's more counter-attacking. At home this season, we've struggled, to be fair. Like, we've lost to Peterborough and Barnsley quite comprehensively, and we lost to Walsall. But mind you, they're all at the very top of the league, so luckily now it's maybe not as bad a loss as I thought it was at the time. Away from home, our record's decent this year. We kept a clean sheet at Coventry and beat them. We beat Burton away when they came down. And I think across the victories away from home, it's our pace which has undone the opposition. Against Burton, they're both well-taken counter-attacking goals. And then referring back to Calvin Andrew, it was his height against Coventry, where he guided a header past the Coventry defence and into the net. And basically, we've just been fantastic in exploiting gaps in the defence when the opposition maybe think, we will take the game to Rochdale, then we can counter-attack and make the most of that. But also, I think away from home, we'd probably set up maybe 4 and then 5 in the midfield and maybe 1 up top. Because we did try 5 at the back at the beginning of the season, but that was disastrous. So I'm hoping he does what he goes with on Saturday. He did 4-2-3-1, and then we played Rathbone in at the CDM with Camps. Sorry, central defensive midfielder with Callum Camps. And then we just had behind him, we had Rafferty. McGahey, who has formed into a fantastic defender at this level. I'll be very surprised if he's in League One in the next couple of years, that's for sure. And then after that, we got Delaney, who's quite good in the air as well. He's quite good at contributed 2 goals last season for us. And then we've also signed Sam Hart from Blackburn, and he's been putting it at left back instead of Matty Dawn over the last couple of weeks. I don't think he'll lose his place. So I imagine that's how we'll set up. And we'll play in the counter and see if we can nick maybe 1 goal. Not just 1 goal would be great, to be honest. Just a goal up there would be fantastic.
Zach Clough signed for Dale on deadline day, and that seemed to send a bit of a shockwave, certainly to me. I was like, why wouldn't something in for him? But is he played yet? And if he has, how's he done?
Well, he made his debut on, is it the LDV? What's it called these days?
Checker Trade.
Oh, Checker Trade, another iconic cup to be part of there. So he scored in that one. He scored against Bury in his debut. And from that, I thought, I've not really known what's happened to him at Forest, to be fair, because I remember him at Bolton around 2015-16. Yeah, he was scoring a few goals for them. And when they came down originally, he scored about 10 at this level to get them promoted again. He left for Forest, I think it was last year. And I think because of the managerial merry-go-rounds at Forest and the amount of new signings they've made this summer, he's just been frozen out. So to get him, I mean, we desperately, at that point, I was fearing that we needed an extra bit of reinforcement up top. He comes in, scores against Bury. I'm thinking, decent, this guy fills the gap nicely until January, takes a bit more pressure off Ian up front to get the goals. But then he got booked at Scunthorpe last week. We were a couple of goals down. He didn't appear against Gillingham this week, so I don't know if it's an injury, because we have had a few injuries that have built up recently. I mean, Andy Cannon, I'd love to have played in this Saturday coming, but he's injured. Brad Inman, he was key last year in our survival bid, and he's injured. But Zach Clough, I'm not sure if it's disciplinary or injury. I mean, I've not really seen anything disclosed regarding that. I remember against Scunthorpe, he did get substituted after 30 minutes because he had a yellow card. I'm not sure if something has built up behind the scenes from that viewpoint, but I don't expect him to play at Sunderland in all fairness. I imagine we'll be unchanged. So we'll probably just do Andrew up top with Wilbraham, Henderson, and maybe behind Henderson we've started playing a former youth player, Matty Gillam. He's scored a couple of goals recently. First proper streak in the first team, so I imagine that Zach Clough won't play at all, to be honest.
You mentioned sort of Rochdale playing a counter-attacking game. So should Sunderland expect you to sit in and, sort of absorb pressure? Because this year at home, every team pretty much has came to stabilise, actually came to attack and sort of, overpower us with energy and just a high press that our midfielders and defenders just kind of seem to deal with. And the fact that you're saying that you're a bit more of a counter-attacking team actually fills me with a little bit of hope, because we've really struggled when teams have started the game quicker than us. I mean, I don't know if you've looked at the stats for Sunderland this year, but we've conceded the first goal in pretty much every game, and we've started slowly in every game but the Scunthorpe game where we were 3-0 up by half-time. So it's...
I think you're in good company, if anything, because we're not that razor sharp really at the beginning. I mean, this weekend, I don't know what's happened to us because we were 2-0 up by half-time, and that's for Rochdale. That's unheard of, really. Like, against Fleetwood, we were slow starting. Against Peterborough, we had a fantastic start. We took lead after 10 minutes and we threw one down by half-time. So I think we do have a bit... maybe some issues, maybe getting into the game initially. It was spoke on the Dale Forum as well about the need to maybe pick up the intensity and to get more, as you said, to rally opposition and make sure you let them know that you're in a game. But for me, I mean, as much as they're a counter-attack, we also have good energy in the midfield, like Rathbone and Camps. They're both early 20s. Rathbone has got an engine in him. I don't know what he is on a match day, but he does the job. I imagine a lot of cardio there because he's rapid. He does a lot of chasing. They're both very influential from the game against Tottenham. Camps probably was my man of the match that day against Tottenham when we played him in the cup at Scotland. He hounded the likes of Musa Sissoko and Harry Winks off the ball. They weren't exactly in bad physical shape, and just the press that day worked fantastically. It's up to Keith. In all fairness, Keith's a bit of a maverick at times, kind of like sometimes you expect maybe a passing game, a bit more patience in build-up. But for Saturday, as much as we're a counter-attacking team, I imagine the first 10 we will try and maybe just just to try and press you back and just get a bit of air and a bit more time to compose, because sometimes in these big games and these big atmospheres in front of big crowds, you can be overawed. So I think Keith will be saying maybe first 10, 15 just to keep it a bit more tight-packed, and then hopefully build the confidence throughout the match and see, hopefully we can, again, just score one goal would be great. I just want one goal, really. But yeah, that's what I think would happen.
Where are Rochdale weak? What's the one area of the team? You got like a dodgy fullback or a centre back who kind of win a header?
Just flip it in the box. Just get in the box.
So you're poor defensively from height, essentially.
Set pieces. If you watch the game against Scunthorpe, I mean, I've seen people when I was in PE and set to PE in high school. I've seen better man marking. Like any ball that is curved in towards the goal, there just seems to be panic and indecisiveness. I'm not sure maybe if after Saturday there might be a bit more confidence in defence. Like on Saturday, we put McGahey on Gillingham's most prolific attacking. Well, he's most renowned, Tommy Eves, and he just marked him out the game. And from that, we just neutralised any threat that Gillingham came forward with. But at the same time, we've conceded crosses from set players against Peterborough. We conceded 2 goals from crosses. Scunthorpe, we conceded 2 goals from crosses. 1 goal, he literally picked up from the corner and just walked past the first marker and ended up just walking into the box and shooting and scoring. So set pieces definitely don't fill me with any hope whatsoever. So as soon as there's a set piece on Saturday, there'll be a lot of widespread panic. But I think it's the same from Sunderland, isn't it?
It is.
Your set pieces are again a bit wary. So
yeah,
it'll be really fun. It'll be really good to watch the corner count on Saturday and just watch the widespread trauma of the crowd's faces watching the ball come into the box.
We seemingly just we don't really have any tall players after our centre backs. Like we've got 2 tall centre backs. Well, even then, Jack Baldwin's not a giant, but he is good at. He's probably he's probably our best player, to be honest, at the minute, especially with Max Power being suspended. But we just can't seem to deal with that physicality. We just go through a spell in the game where we'll concede a few corners, and then the opposition will get one right, and it just seems like we're not marking them. But we've talked about sort of your weakness. What is the strength? I mean, what should Sunderland be thinking? If a certain player turns up, could it be that? Or is it, I don't know, you're good at the long ball game? I mean, what is it that Rochdale bring? And if they have a good game, what will it be that will, turn the game into their favour?
I think we've just... The thing is, even though last year we did struggle, I won't lie, in the league terms, we were relegated at like 66 minutes last year. But what I was praised about Keith is his adaptability and change throughout the game. For instance, in that game against Charlton last season, the last game of the season, we were down basically. We needed to score a goal, and Keith just put Joe Thompson on the pitch and reconfigured the shape of the team and played towards our strengths, which I probably would say the height can be a strength for us as well, even though we've had issues at defending. Putting Wilbraham and Andrew on at the weekend, that's 2 extra people at the back to clear the lines. It's also 2 people to help bring the ball down and help to keep the flow going up front and to hold the ball up, whilst players like Rathbone maybe could come and join the attack from midfield and create more options. We're very good at possession-based football. We like to pass it from side to side and from the back, but sometimes it can be a bit tedious, especially like this season, like against Peterborough. I remember after half-time, we were 3-1 down and nothing was progressing at the top of the pitch at all. We were just passing it from left channel to right channel. And that was it, basically. But I'd probably say it's a combination, probably earlier on, of just keeping the ball. But if we were to go behind, I wouldn't be surprised if we'd go to a long ball tactic towards Calvin or to Albie and to see if we can get any fruits from that perspective. But what would you say for us would be Sunderland's strong points?
I think if Rochdale don't start well and sort of let Sunderland get a bit of control of the game early on, and I think they could struggle, because against Scunthorpe, they just couldn't deal with, sort of us going forward, whereas the other teams that have kept the stadium alive have all sort of brought the game to us, and we've actually been a bit flat-footed, to be honest, to start games. And I think you should also be worried that, as bad as we have been in games, in every single game this season we've played, we've always had a spell where we've been able to, score, 1, 2, 3, 4 goals. Yeah, we have been able to do that this year. So I think a case of, if you are on top against Sunderland, you have to do what Burton did and you have to score the second goal. if you go 1-0 up against her, but you don't, it's half time if it's 1-0 and you've had a brilliant half, then I would worry if I was you, because the likelihood is that we will, in the second half, create a lot of chances and we'll sort of get
But
things.
what I have realised with something, as you said, is like your character within the team. It seems fantastic from an outsider's point, because against Wimbledon, I think you was a goal down with like 20 to go.
Yeah.
And you came back and won that game. You came back against Charlton.
Gillingham
you came
away.
back against Oxford. You came back against Gillingham. So there is a never say die attitude, which for a Sunderland fan after maybe the last couple of years, you must be just buzzing to see that resilience throughout your side, to not lie down or to not let everything get on top of you, and always to try and find a way through, which at League One level is vital.
Yeah,
you're not going to play well for every one of the 46 games. There will be times in winter where the fixtures do pile up, as you were saying last year in a 46 game season. It's just about plucking away and getting results.
Yeah, I think it's the quality as well. Like, I think you look at Sunderland's team. I mean, you'll certainly have, in preparation for doing this podcast, you would have looked at our squad, and there must be players on there which you wonder why they're in League One. Aidan McGeady. You'd probably look at Lyndon Gooch, who's a USA international, Brian Oviedo, Cattermole. I mean, if you look at all that quality they actually have in the team, it does make you wonder sort of, how we have struggled we have struggled sometimes in games for spells. In terms of actual threats though in the game, which I suppose is ultimately what you were asking in the first place, players like Lyndon Gooch, if your fullback cannot defend against Lyndon Gooch, then he will tear you to shreds. You'll create, he'll be dangerous, you'll risk conceding penalties and yellow cards against him, because he is, that sort of player who will take on a man and can do it well.
Was he very effective in the Championship as well?
When he was given a chance, he was very stoppy-starty last year. I mean, he came through really under David Moyes in that awful Premier League campaign, but he'd got a bad injury that year. And then last year, I think he was still kind of coming back from it. He never seemed to get a proper run in the team, despite looking very good every time he got a game. This year just seems to have been a clean slate for him, and he started the season very hot, very, very good. He's chilled down a little bit in the last couple of games, but I think he'll certainly, get back up to the level that we know he can play, because he is, I would argue, probably one of the best, or if not the best attacking player in this league in terms of wingers. We've also got, I look at in midfield, Dylan McGeoch might play this weekend, and he's been injured to start the year, but he came with a lot of fanfare, a big reputation from Hibs. The knock on him is that he constantly gets injured, but if he can, show why everyone was so excited about him signing, this weekend looks like a good game for him if he is fit. So I think that there is worries for Rochdale in the sense that if this weekend is the game that it ticks for Sunderland, then they could be in for a nightmare afternoon. On the flip side of that, though, they are coming against a team that did lose at the weekend and didn't perform very well. So whether it's going to be wounded animals Sunderland that's going to lash out and retaliate, or if it's going to be a Sunderland that feels sorry for itself, which we're used to seeing over the last few years, I think in a lot of ways it could be the mental battle for Sunderland.
But I think as well, with like when you look at Rochdale, you do look at Ian's stats and the fact he has been top scorer for the last 4 seasons. People focus on him, but I think Ollie Rathbone's grown in this season, especially into quite a force from midfield. Like, he scored twice against Grimsby recently in the Checker trade. He scored twice against Scunthorpe a couple of weeks ago as well. And it's his energy and tenacity is feeding onto Camps, who, for me, Callum Camps, I think one day he will play in the second tier. It's just a case of when. But last season, his form did meander throughout the season through good and bad spells. And I think the assurance and the energy alongside Rathbone is bringing out the best in Callum Camps now. So I'm just hoping that maybe we can get a decent balance in midfield, because we brought in Dave Perkins from Wigan. Yeah. And I thought Perkins would be... Yeah. He's been there back in the day. He was with us like 10... He scored against Darlington in the playoff semi-final 10 years ago. And he's come back. He's like Flash Gordon. It's madness. But he's not had a game, basically, because of Rathbone's contribution and his assuredness. Because last season, what our big thing was in midfield was experience at times. But this season, Rathbone's just grabbed it by the scruff of the neck, and he's playing some blinding performances. So he's also a guy that maybe you'd want to maybe in midfield try and snuff out or put a Cattermole on him, or maybe a CDM just to mark them out the game to maybe isolate the midfield. But it's gonna be a test. But I'm in for by this. I'm hoping maybe we don't catch you in a wild cat phase. We catch you more like a bit more on the low. But we'll see. We'll definitely.
I've got a simple question here. Is Keith Hill a legend?
Yeah, I love Keith. I've seen him in Manchester a couple of times. Do you know, like in Hollywood, if you walk past someone, you're starstruck. Well, me walking past Pizza Express and seeing Keith's face was just a magical moment. There's been a lot of speculation. Like, I mean, this year he's had some bizarre interviews. Like, I think was it after the Walsall game? It could have been. Yeah, after the Walsall game, I think he said to supporters, "If you want me gone, contact the chairman." Now, I don't know what supporters want Keith out of Rochdale, because I remember when he left originally in 2011 to Barnsley.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
The club just fell apart. There's just no recruitment, no longevity. I mean, he did take a lot of his players with him, which is understandable because Barnsley, as much as I love Rochdale, Barnsley are a bit of a bigger catch. But he left and we was just in havoc, and he came back, he stabilised the club in the lower depths of League Two. I thought we were going to go back-to-back relegations at one point. Came back in 2013 with Ian Henderson. It was a match made in heaven, and then since then, he's took the club onto ridiculous heights. And like in terms of his achievements at the club, I mean, we've had our top ever finish, 8th in League One.
Mm-hmm.
We're in our record 5th year in a row in League One, which matches the achievement of the 1969-74 side. He's got us some of the biggest football in our history as well. Like, we've been to Wembley twice under him. We've had playoff drama, heartache, ecstasy under the guy. He's a living legend, and he wears flat caps, mate, and he dresses like Peaky Blinders. I think he's an absolute godsend. He's a maverick. He's indescribable what he has done for my football club, and I think, in all honesty, if he doesn't get a statue, maybe alongside Ian, if they don't get a statue when they're retired, then I don't know who does get a statue, to be honest, because what he has done for not just the club, but the town as well. Like, the football club is representing the town in a good light over the last few years or so. So, for me, he's biblical. He's generally biblical. I'm starting to well up now, probably.
All right, I'm going to bring you back down to earth with this next one. So last year you finished 20th and you just survived. And I remember tracking it because I do always hope that Rochdale beat Oldham in that annual relegation scrap. Last year it was like Oldham, Bury, Rochdale, all down there fighting away at the bottom of the league.
Football was not doing well last year at all.
But you came out on top. But the interesting thing is before that you'd had 3 really solid seasons. You were top 10 every year, weren't you? So what changed last year? Why were you struggling so much? I mean, I know that your home form last year dipped, didn't it? Am I right in saying that?
For me, draws cost us a lot of draws last season. We didn't lose too many games, but when we had winning positions, we just didn't hold on to them. It's getting especially stressful towards the end, Connor, because I remember the second to last game of the season was at Oxford, and we was 1-0 up with 20 minutes to go, and we just need to hold on, and we wouldn't have had to have the whole final day drama that unfolded, even though I am glad eventually that did happen. And we just conceded 2 penalties in the last 20 minutes, and I think it was a mental edge at times. I think maybe fatigue could also come into it from the cup run.
Yeah.
Maybe players' attention's not been solely focused on the league when they should have done. Because I remember we beat Tottenham. I mean, we didn't beat Tottenham. That's fake news. So we drew to Tottenham, and the week after we played MK Dons at home, and it was the most flat performance I've seen from us that season. There was nothing going attacking wise. I think we hit the bar in the first half now, and then nothing happened. And I think it was a combination of maybe players being a bit distracted and fatigued from the cup exploits. I think it's sometimes bad luck. I think, as much as mental edge, a lot of things just weren't going for us. A lot of goals and decisions last season, particularly in the final 10 minutes, hurt us badly. It happened against Portsmouth. It happened against so many games last season. I could just recite from last-minute goals, which just broke my heart on Twitter, to be honest. I mean, I think Bradford did it to us as well in April time of last season. So I just think that I don't think we deserve to be where we were in the table. I think we were better than getting relegated from League One, but I do think that we put ourselves in our own jeopardy, to be honest. I think we were lucky to get out of it. I'm grateful we are. But I don't want to have an end of season like that ever again, please, because I aged about 40 years and my hairline's gone back 40 years after it.
What's the aim then this year? So what represents, I suppose, what represents an okay season and what represents a very good season for Rochdale? I mean, is there any sort of expectation to get in the playoffs, or is that just a dream where if it happens, happy days, we can never expecting it?
Well, I think the best chance we ever got from the playoffs, it would have been either 2016-17, where we held on at Oldham away that year, and then we'd beaten Bradford at home. We would have been guaranteed playoffs. The other opportunity would have been 2014-15 time, but I think Matty Dawn got sold to Sheffield United that year and broke my January Blues into smithereens, mate. I mean, I couldn't believe we'd sold him at the time. For playoffs this season, I don't see it. I think there's a lot of big budgets in this league. You've got to look at the league table right now. I mean, you've got Peterborough, for me, they'll be dangerous.
Yeah, good going forward, aren't they?
Yeah, very. They've got, I think they signed Jason Cummings from...
Yeah, he looked a tiny player, doesn't he?
Yeah, he rinsed Dale to shreds the other week, so I don't want to see him again. Barnsley, a very good team at this level. Sunderland, obviously, you'd expect them to be there or thereabouts. And then after that, you'd probably have the likes of Burton to get back on form. So it's a very, very competitive League One this year in terms of standards. I think there's not really a front runner at the moment, but I think there is a decent patch of teams which will be around the playoff mark. So I don't think Dell can get that. What I want from Rochdale this year is to develop maybe a few more of our youth players. I mean, Matty Gillam's come back in the team. Just to see him grow as a player and maybe to learn off Henderson as the season goes would be fantastic for me. Personally, mid-table. If we got into the third round of the FA Cup again, I'd be ecstatic. But mid-table for me would be great. I think in terms of attacking sense, we do have firepower to maybe mount a playoff challenge. I'm just not sure that the rest of the team has caught up to that level yet.
I was going to say, do you ever worry that if Rochdale did get in the Championship, I've looked at teams like...
Into the playoffs?
You know, no, I mean, in the Championship, you did go up. You made that step. You got into the next level. Do you ever worry that you would end up doing like a Yeovil where you get up there?
Down again.
Yeah, or Burton, might do that kind of thing eventually. If you go up into the Championship and your budget goes up so much and to compete, even just to compete to the point where you might just stay up, is that not a worry? That would kind of like, it's a bit scary, isn't it? To think that if you went up, it might go horrendously wrong. Keith Hill might leave.
Yeah, I could say. I remember when we first came up in 2010, and our first spell Keith was in charge. We got pretty. I think we got to like at points like fourth place in the playoffs. And I think as a fan base, we knew we were never going to be ready for the Championship. And to be honest, Connor, we could be in League One for 5 more years and mount a playoff. But I still don't think the club will be ready for it because we never had Championship football, so we don't know what to expect. I don't know what would happen to the budget. I don't know if we'd have to sell players. Who could we get in? Because even though we would be in the second tier, we'd still be feeding off the scraps with the other 23 Championship sides. Burton, in my opinion, did a miracle of just surviving.
Nelly survived again as well.
Yeah. They've signed decent players for the Championship. For me, I don't think clubs who may be more adaptable to, look at MK Dons, they went to the Championship and failed.
Yeah. They've ended up falling through the leagues, haven't they?
Yeah. Peterborough, the exact same. As you say, Yeovil, Burton have tried it. Blackpool leaving, you can look at them, and maybe they're more mismanaged than falling.
Yeah, it's the ownership there.
Yeah.
What do you think is
football, though, Connor? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's something you want to have glory. The game is about glory.
It's true.
And just to have one year in the Championship for me would be fantastic. But I don't know. I don't think it happened. That's been realist rather than romantic.
But do you not think that Keith Hill sits there? Like, the ultimate ambition must be for a League One team that's been at that level now for 5 years. The ultimate ambition must be to go into the upper division, surely.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think as well the club self-sustainable? Rochdale, is it a club that lives within its means?
Yes, it's very well run. I don't think we've been in administration, not in my lifetime anyway. I don't think we've ever really had that. I mean, there was a point around 2009 to 10 season where we had to sell off Alfie, Adam Lafondra. We sold him to Rotherham, and that sale allegedly had kept us afloat.
Yeah.
And then fortunately that year we went up, so we didn't have many money problems after that, really. But we've always we've always operated with a small but low fan base. Like, we do get around 2,500 to 3,000 if we're lucky at home. And to them, it's just turn up at Rochdale every weekend. And the club has adapted to that model. Like, they know Rochdale will find it hard to get, because we're very located as well. Like, we've got United, Cities.
Yeah.
Everton's aren't that far. And over the border these days, Huddersfield, 20 minutes down the road.
I wanted to ask you kind of about, if I walk down Rochdale town centre, heaven forbid, what would I see?
I'd get you a taxi to Mank, that's what you'd see.
What would you see, though?
What, in terms of football fan, in terms of the town?
Yeah, like a football fan. In Rochdale, is it a case that
United fans?
Is it like to be in a weird way? But obviously, you know that I'm from Blythe, and I'm very patriotic about Blythe Spartans.
Yes.
Is it similar to me being a Blythe Spartans fan and a Sunderland fan? Are people like a Man United fan and a Rochdale fan, or is that just me being very patronising and wrong?
No. I place there's some fact there. Some people. I mean, I had a mate who went there with all the time. To be honest, I still do on the odd occasion. And he's a Liverpool fan, but he's just his mum and dad have got him into it because it's accessible football as well. That's if you're a Rochdale. Like, if you're a United or a City fan or a Liverpool fan, you might have to wait such and such. You're not going to go the game you want to unless you're like a season ticket holder. So Rochdale does offer football that's accessible. It's the same with clubs like Oldham and Bury and Stockport. We are peripheral clubs on the outskirts of Greater Manchester, probably just vying for just existence. I mean, Mancunian football, even if you look at the likes of City United growing over the last 10 years, Wigan have come down from the Premier League into League One. Stockport have got relegated to non-league. Oldham and Bury relegated last season. They're in Blythe's. They're in the conference.
North. Yeah, they're in Blythe. We played them last year. Beat them last year 3-2.
It fascinates me how Stockport are at that level. It's mad.
Yeah.
And hopefully Blythe are in League One with us soon, mate, so you can do a podcast with them.
Oh, I don't think. I would actually hate it if Blythe and Sunderland were in the same league. It would be the worst day ever.
It'd be like that meme where Spider-Man are standing up. It's just like, who do I support?
Yeah. Well, I would still support Sunderland's still the number one, ultimately. But it wouldn't be. I mean, very nearly a few years ago, Blythe played Blackburn in the FA Cup. And if they'd won that game, they would have had Sunderland in the fourth round. So it did nearly happen. Fortunately, it didn't, because I would no idea. Yeah, I was kind of hoping Blythe got beat in a lot of ways. Just so it didn't happen.
Yeah.
The other thing I sort of wanted to touch on was who is your big sort of rival game? I mean, is it them Manchester clubs you mentioned, the Oldham, the Berries, the Stockports? Is that the grudge matches for you?
Changes. Like with Sunderland, you and Newcastle know that till the day you die.
Yeah.
That's it. Do you know what I mean? Like, as much as Middlesbrough try and get in there, it's just they're not relevant. For Rochdale, in terms of like United and City, we're just not relevant. I don't think we've played United or City in a competitive match in my lifetime. We've played Liverpool in the 90s, but we've never played one of the Manchester clubs. Back in 2008-12 days, I'd probably say Bury were our biggest rivalry because we're both in League Two, vying for promotion from League One. The games always got quite heated. The followings were quite big as well for Rochdale and Bury at that time. We used to take quite a few over to their place. They always bring a good crowd to Scotland. But in more recent years, I'd probably say Oldham have turned into a bit more of a rival than Bury, really, just because, again, we've been playing from a more consistent level. And I think, like, in the 2016-17 season, Oldham pretty much did put an end to our playoff bid. So to some supporters, that might climb up as well. But I don't know, it's confusing time for Rochdale now because we've lost Oldham and Bury and we're just a bit
alone.
Do you know what? Keep your enemies closer. Do you know what I mean? Like, we just want somebody to just, not to be Green Street too. I'm not like that, Connor. I just want, I just want something with a bit of banter. I'm not a folk. I don't listen to this like I'm a folk on the back of the world. But I just want a derby, really. I mean, this year, if anything, our derby would probably be Accrington. But I don't look at Accrington like a derby. I like Accrington, to be honest. Don't mind them at all. Proper friendly club, proper Lancashire club. And I've never really classed them as a rival, really.
Well,
again, it depends.
They're a non-league club, weren't they, for years?
Well, I know, but they've done well at Accrington, like, to get to the stage right. And to be fair, there could be a bit of a rivalry that's developing, maybe because John Coleman.
Yeah, because you hate John Coleman, don't you?
Well, John Coleman just came down. I think they just weren't suited for each other. Like,
Was it just one of them?
just didn't
Everything
work.
looked all right. You both swiped right, but it just was never ever going to be a
And
thing.
then you turn up at Petersburg Express, and then she wants the garlic dough balls, you want the cinnamon dough balls, and it's just like...
Just doesn't work. I also... Just before...
Sorry to compare John Coleman to a Pizza Express.
Yeah, you like Pizza Express. That's twice you've referenced that.
I do. Sorry.
I sort of want to touch on a positive kind of on the Sunderland perspective, but I mean, what is your views on Sunderland, A, being in League One, but Sunderland kind of as a club? I mean, I know you spent a lot of time, you obviously went to university with me and you will have had me bleating on about it, but did you ever think
We never mentioned you were a Sunderland fan.
Did I not? Did you ever believe that me and you would be having a conversation about a Sunderland Rochdale League game?
No. You need to get out of this league, man. You don't belong here.
I mean, our fans like it. We've sort of enjoyed it in a weird way. It's nice to go to the smaller stadiums and kind of
rustic, a bit romantic, would you say?
Yeah,
like
and plus too,
English football, like.
It's like the pain, we've had a nightmare ownership, and I think to get rid of the nightmare ownership, we had to go through this kind of pain, almost like an operation, and now we're getting better. We've got nice owners, and everything kind of looks hunky-dory. I mean, I don't know if you tracked the situation at Sunderland over the summer. And
well, I've seen, first of all, like, it was widespread on, like, I remember he came down from the Premiership. Was it 2017 you came down?
Yeah.
Is that the year you got? Yeah. And I remember a lot of focus being put on Ellis Short then. And then throughout League One, like, the club just seemed, not League One, so the Championship, the club just seemed to go more and more into dire straits, to be honest. Just the management of the club and the recruitment from that side, the money seemed to just evaporate, really, which was a bit surprising to me because I know Sunderland have always had a really loyal fan base.
Yeah.
And they've always done well in terms of ticket receipts. And to be fair, it was surprising why it become that mismanaged, really, because I remember back in the day when you used to have Darren Bent, Asamoah Gyan.
Oh, don't.
Do you know the Trinity?
Jordan Henderson.
The Trinity.
Hey.
Like, then Danny Rose back in the day as well, John. I know a bit about Sunderland, don't get me wrong, but I don't know what... Yeah, I understand how you can see it as like a rustic, something a bit enjoyable. But I think after a couple... I mean, this is what happened to the Sheffield clubs. They came down and they had a year where it's like, oh, it's nice down here. It is nice, but I still think Sunderland at the end of the day should be looking for instant promotion back to the Championship at least.
Do you look at it as a Premier League club? Is Sunderland a Premier League club, or is that my rose-tinted glasses?
Of course.
Yeah.
Like, I went Newcastle, and I'm not going to lie, I had favouritisms towards Newcastle. Cause
I know you did.
Newcastle,
we had many arguments.
The effect, and to be honest, the fact I'm here now is the greatest reprieve in history, so thank you. But the thing is about Newcastle and Sunderland, as much as they are rivals, they've always had very loyal followings. They've always been a big institution of English football. You've won 6 league titles. You've won 4 FA Cups. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's teams in the Premier League that pittance of history of Sunderland.
No.
Let's be honest. And
I'll take that pat on the back.
Well,
Feels 10 foot taller now.
It's facts. You know what I mean? Like, everyone I remember on the last day of the season when we stayed up against Charlton, people just celebrate on the pitch. We're playing Sunderland. We're playing Sunderland. Yes, us up there, decent. Go to the National Glass Museum before kick-off. It's a good little facility. I'm just looking forward. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I didn't actually get the chance to go to Southampton in 2010. And it's
I was when we talked about it.
Yeah.
The biggest regret.
Yeah.
Is this your sort of...
This is no regrets. Mate. This is definitely achieving a goal. I can't wait to just go up there and just see the ground, to be honest. Like, when you pass it on the metro and stuff, it's a cathedral, mate. Like, the whole city looks towards on the banks of the Wear. It's fantastic, and I'm looking forward to seeing the atmosphere, because you also get a few decibels in there as well.
We're gonna have a cheeky little score prediction from you. Do you want to give us 2? Do you want to give us the heart and the head?
Yeah, heart.
Give both.
Right, okay, at the same time. So, head, I'm going to say a draw. I'm going to say we'll just come up there and we'll just draw.
Okay.
And my heart's probably still a draw, to be honest. I mean, my heart, I would say victory, but I just think you've got very good players at League One level in that team, and a lot of prospects coming through as well, like that. Josh Badger, he started the season, he looks a threat. He looks a handful at this level. But
he's tidy under his head. Like, he kind of do that with his head. In, like, an aerial battle, you'll always lose. But, I mean, if you get it at his feet, he ties defenders in knots at this level.
Yeah, I can imagine he's quite fast as well, to be fair.
Yeah, he's just he's a very good footballer, very skillful, very good technique, good finisher. He just seems he hasn't quite learned every area of the game yet, but that's because he's 19 years old. You know what I mean?
Is he from your academy?
He's actually from Fulham Academy, and then we brought him in.
Right, yeah, Fulham.
Brought him in a couple of years ago. He was kind of came through with like Joe Lasoro, who ended up going to Swansea this past summer. So he does look, a good player, and I certainly would worry. He's got a very, it's like he finishes with like a quick shot. The keeper never expects it, and it
like
goes in.
Like a snap effort.
Yeah, and I think it's the goal against Charlton kind of is him. He just for no reason kind of scores. He has that in his locker. Seems to be a very tidy finisher. I think some fans are a bit worried going into this season about whether or not he could lead the line, but he's done a very good job. So I think we're going to pretty much wrap this one up. Alex, it was obviously good talking to you as always, and I'm looking forward to seeing you for the first time in
3 years. 3 years.
You had the famous Bromley pizza.
Coming back for that, mate. At one point in my life, don't worry.
Yeah, well,
at my wedding, she can cater the wedding if she wants. If never get married, she can cater the wedding. Or even yours in the longer term, mate. I'll turn up for a pizza, don't worry.
Just for the pizza. That's it.
And the Blythe over spoons, obviously.
Obviously, I mean, there's so much going on. But I mean, you visited Blythe. Can you just tell everyone how nice a place Blythe is before?
Pretty much. Do you know, like they say, the Fifi Islands can't come any further north? Well, Blythe changed that record. It's fantastic. Nice beaches, a decent football team, good chippies. I mean, the Bromleys live there. Why go anywhere else?
Fair. Yeah, that's the perfect way to sign off. So thanks for...
That's non-biased. That's no bias whatsoever.
Thanks for coming on, Alex. And it's been a pleasure talking Rochdale. I never believed we would be here doing a league podcast with Rochdale. I never believed...
Allegations for this, mate.
This might be the only time in our lives that we are level, as football fans.
Until we get taken over by Qataris, mate, then we'll see you in the Premier in a couple of years.
Yeah, maybe it could be, Manchester City's owner's brother wants to get involved and United won't sell, so you pick Rochdale.
Yeah, you could just go on a train from Manchester trying to buy Leeds and ends up stranded in a Northern Rail replacement bus service in Rochdale and just think, I can't be arsed, I'll just come here instead.
Hell yeah.
Let's dream.
Perfect. You can sign us off now. Sweet.